I was that renter in my early life, was single dad, no college degree, thinking about retiring or having like carefree money to spend didn't even show up on my radar. I was just like, these overdraft fees don't hit me. How do I make sure that I don't have to get a payday loan?
My guest today is Ben Turner. Ben and his team have helped residents save and invest over $1.4 million while renting, proving that resident experience can be a wealth engine, not just a cost center.
If someone showed up at your building and said, I want you to show me how your business is impacting the people who live in those homes and their lives, could you do it? You can do some really impactful things for the renters. It can actually be the right business decision. We want them to have hope and integrity while renting. We want them to feel like they are moving upward by living with us and our partners.
Welcome back to Inside the Vendor Network, an Ever-Resi original series where we spotlight operators, platforms, and partners shaping how the SFR and BTR industry actually works. This show is built for owner-operators, investors, and industry leaders who care about performance and long-term impact. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here before, thank you for being a part of our community. Before we jump in, make sure you've subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. We're going to keep the conversations going. Today's conversation challenges one of the biggest assumptions in housing, that renting and wealth creation don't belong together. So my guest today is Ben Turner, partner in Invest with Roots and a co-founder of the Wealth Building Rewards. Ben and his team have helped residents save and invest over $1.4 million while renting, proving that resident experience can be a wealth engine, not just a cost center. A quick thank you to our sponsor, Palisade Wall Panel and Shower Systems, trusted across SFR and BTR portfolios for faster installs, cleaner turns, and long-term durability. Palisade helps operators protect NOI while improving the resident experience, and we're proud to partner with solutions that perform in the field. Ben, welcome to the show. I'm really glad you're here today. Let's get inside the vendor network and into how residents are building real wealth while renting. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thanks, Yovonne. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, one of the things I like to do before we get into the nitty-gritty of roots and wealth building and financial literacy and all that fun stuff, I like our audience to get to know our guest. And I've had the pleasure to get to know you over the past couple of years, going to shows and breaking bread and having dinners together. But I want our audience to get to know you a little bit. So before we talk about platforms and outcomes, let's talk about the human behind the mission. Ben Turner, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. We live up in Hendersonville. Married. I have 4 children. One is a junior in college, and the other 3 are all under the age of 5. So, daughter in college and 3 little boys who are constantly running my house amok, and we call them feral all the time. They're very feral.
Feral little boys.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So yeah, we live a little piece of land up in Hendersonville, pretty simple life, raising kids and, trying to build a business and help a lot of people with my fellow people at Roots.
Yeah. So, I'm not a big proponent in taming children either. I think as you and I and our generation was raised, our parents were like, act right, sit nice, cross your legs, stop jumping in church, watch your mouth, like all the things. I'm a big believer in sure, kids have to have manners, but I think sometimes we can tame things out of our kids that we really just need to actually lift up and encourage. So little boys especially, they got to get that energy out.
So yeah, boys, like all kids need it, but like with boys, you're raising them to cut them loose into a world that is dangerous. It's it's adventurous. They should feel comfortable enough to take risks and live dangerously. I tell my wife all the time, our 10-month-old is like scaling everything. He wants to take his first steps. And like last night, she was like, he's going to fall. And I'm like, he's got to learn to fall. He's got to learn how to roll. Like, like he's not going to learn to catch himself and not hurt himself if he never falls. And that's right. Yeah, very, very much like that. We try our best to meet. I'm way more like just, they'll figure it out. Like they're fine. And my wife's like, but she's, we're both trying to just let them be boys and,
Yeah. It's not life threatening, right? I mean, I remember I was baking and I kept telling my son, kept telling him, don't touch this, don't touch the oven door. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. And then about the 5th time I told him it was hot, I was like, I'm just gonna let him touch it. I ain't gonna burn him that hard. And so he touched it. He's like, oh, it's hot. I'm like, yeah, so I told you it's hot.
Yeah,
Like,
I say all the time, one day our house will be cleaner than it's ever been, and all we'll want is for it to be dirty again. That's all we'll want.
it's so true.
Lean into
So
it.
my 21-year-old today left here and he's flying airplanes, right? And so talk about risk and watching your kids grow up. And you see that with your college student now too, right? Where they're going out into the world and they're kind of becoming their own thing. And mine is flying a damn airplane. And I just never would have thought, I say a little prayer when he walks out the door, but I actually prefer just not knowing that he's going flying. I'm like, tell me you're going to the gym and then come back and tell me you flew.
Yeah.
Because I just sit here like, was that him? Was that him? So. But anyway, well, thanks. And so were you born and raised in that area, or where were you originally from?
I grew up in Florida. My dad was military, so I grew up on Eglin Air Force Base, which is just right outside of Destin, like in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
I
So
moved up here in 2005. So all my adult life has been up here.
So did you go to DOD schools, Department of Defense? Did you go to school on base, or did you go to public schools off base?
Yeah, they were just normal schools. I mean, the elementary school was on base. The middle school was off base, but it was close to the base. So most of the kids who went there were Air Force kids. And then high school, it's just a normal high school. It's just the closest high school there.
Yeah. I didn't know that we had that connection. I'm a 20-year Army brat. So I was raised on military bases as well. And
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know. Like it's a great show.
well, no,
Meet you. I loved living on Air Force Base.
I did too. I loved playing on the salt mines and messing with the MPs and out, we were on bikes all the time and they were in trucks. So
People are anywhere. Like you just go, my parents, I mean, it was also a different time, and not that I'm like real old, but it does feel like it's a different time now. Like they'd bend us out, be like, all right, just like I would tell them kind of where I was going, but I would just go wherever I wanted, and they were just fine with it.
Yeah.
And, it
be
feels
home when the streetlights get on.
that's right. At least check back in, and then you can go back out if you want to.
Then you go back out. That's right. So yeah, I loved being an Army brat. I really think it played a lot into who I became today, my ability to make friends pretty quickly, because we moved every 3 years of my life. We switched schools a lot, and those things all led to, I think, a lot of who I am today. So
Yeah, I think there's not to get way too deep into it, but like growing up on a military base too, all the houses are the same. Like everything was the same. And so you have people from all, especially being military, all walks of life, all very different. And it felt like everything was level. And so I grew up in a world where it was like, no, like people didn't have bigger houses than you. People didn't have smaller houses than you. They didn't have less. Like we all just kind of had the same. And
and they were all white walls.
yeah. Oh man. I look back at my house when I was a kid. It looks like a prison. Like
It really does.
white concrete block. I was like, I lived there. It was military housing. I thought it was awesome. I look back now, I'm like,
Oh, well, I loved it. I mean, once my dad became an officer, we got to actually live in a single family resident on base. I was bored. I was like, this blows. Like my friends used to be right across the hall, or we would play down in the basement, and I mean, it was so much more fun living in stairwell living.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I didn't know. We'll have to catch up more on that. So those are some fun growing up stories. So housing, I mean, that's a good segue into housing and wealth are deeply personal topics. And I think that connection matters here, right? And so you grew up with you didn't even live in a home, and your parents had to build wealth in a different way from maybe not owning immediately because of the career choice that your dad had, but then later maybe they became homeowners. We'll unpackage that a little bit. But how has family or personal life influenced how you think about stability and housing and wealth?
Yeah, um, my father grew up very, very poor, very simple. I always say poor redneck because my family's a bunch of rednecks. I love them.
Yeah.
I'll say that's not a negative term. It's just still in my blood. Uh,
A term of endearment, actually.
yeah, yeah. It's just part of it. But the joining the military for him rescued him from like where it was just an opportunity that he took, and it made a better life for me and my brothers. But my dad, he didn't buy his first home until he was almost 40. And a lot of the things that you kind of learn in college, even though you don't learn there, but like just like life skills around the importance of saving and investing and a lot of that stuff, he kind of bypassed all of that. You miss a lot of that when you're military, because everything's paid for. You live on base, they pay for everything. The house is
Yeah.
paid for. You have a car payment, that's about it. Uh, Schools, daycares, all that stuff is just covered. And so you can be living pretty carefree and easy, having not been really exposed to like what the world is at times. And I saw that with my father and some of those struggles. Um, and so like that's always kind of resonated with me. I didn't realize that until I got older. I had a kid when I was 19 years old. I put a bunch of my own roadblocks in front of me. Um, but the short story to that is that the renters that we serve in a lot of cases, a lot of our homes are workforce housing. Uh, just general people that are renting, feeling like they're going nowhere, just trying to keep their head above water, just trying to like still. Yep. I was that renter in my early life for a lot of it. Like a lot of my 20s was single dad, no college degree, trying to make money where I could just to get by. The idea of me owning a home one day was very out there to me. Um, Thinking about retiring or having like carefree money to spend didn't even show up on my radar. I was just like, how do I make sure these overdraft fees don't hit me? How do I make sure that I don't have to, get a payday loan or something like that? Like, and I wasn't making always like incredible decisions because I was very ill informed. I'd never been exposed to like, a family making really smart financial decisions. And so it just put a lot of like challenging situations in front of me to where now at 40, when I look at what we're involved in, I realize that there's a lot of opportunity to provide um, optional choices for individuals that could shape the way they view life. Like we don't think that we're making anybody rich, or we're not making our renters rich, but we could be helping them put the foundational pieces in that impact their life in the long term. Stuff that I wish that I would have had exposure to when I was 22 years old, that I didn't get until I was 30, or even later. Still today, still learning things today. But yeah, a lot of my upbringing, like when I was asked to join the team at Roots, it resonated really, really well with me, the mission behind what they were doing, because I was like, I was very much one of these individuals. And I would love to on the back end get to do something where I can make an impact. I can bring my skills and help this company grow, but do something really, really special for the people that we serve.
I agree with that. I mean, I can relate as well because when you grew up, you said I wasn't exposed to maybe how those decisions were made within a family. And I also sometimes think when you grow up, even I have friends who grew up in a very affluent family who their parents were making good financial decisions. They were very well off, but again, the exposure part. So I don't always think that, hey, you have to be poor and not be exposed. You could be very affluent and wealthy, and your parents still didn't expose you to the behaviors, the decisions, or lineage of wealth decisions being made that really positioned a family for success and not in just one generation, but in for generations to come. And in it sounds like our situations, which were very similar, I made some poor decisions very young around some credit card debt, and I pulled out of it around 28. but I lost a significant amount of years right there, shoulda, coulda, woulda, had I been exposed. And then, sometimes your parents say, well, we tried telling you, but you didn't listen. So,
Yeah.
there's also that. But I also believe in military, like you and I both were brought up. You're right. Housing's covered. You shop at the commissary, you shop at the PX. You're buying goods and services for way less than you do on what we will call the economy. Um, but you are sheltered. And I remember taking a walk with my dad. My dad, I used to, I've battled weight my whole life. Like, I've always been an athlete, and I always wanted to work on, being healthy physically. And so my father would take me running. We would go running all the time, and we would go walking through the base, and we'd walk by, where maybe it was like, you know, what do they call enlisted, right? So E1 to maybe E4, E5, and you go into that segment of the neighborhood of a military base, and my dad would say, "Oh, look, nice cars." And then he'd point up to the barracks, he'd say, "No curtains. No nice car, no curtains." And that has kind of always resonated with me. And I used to be like, well, why? And he's would say, hey, they just haven't been taught. They're young GIs who come in. They're not putting money into a home. The one asset that they could have would be a car, which might land them a really pretty wife. And then they're like, this was the mentality in this military. But I still remember that saying like it was yesterday, nice car, no curtains. And so it was like, what what were they missing? But then I look back on my childhood and I say, oh, well, maybe I wasn't getting maybe the financial literacy, but my father at that moment thought he knew more than the average Yogi Bear. And so you don't know until you don't know. You realize you don't know. And now, go ahead.
What we've learned is that it's not like a lot of what we do on our platform, and we'll probably talk more about it when we talk about the wealth building rewards platform, is centered around education. But like financial education is not a new word in like the real estate world. Like people offer it in different ways. No one does it. Like it's not enough to just create an educational platform and say, hey, go learn it. It's like your dad's telling you all these things and it's like not resonating. It's the exposure to something that changes the behaviors of an individual. It's why we make it so easy to invite our renters into wealth creation. It's not just we're telling them it's important, we're exposing it to them. And then ensuring that there has all of the backbone behind the educational pieces so that those become lifelong skill sets for them. Because no one, I could meet a homeless person on the street and say, hey, do you think investing and saving money is important? And they'll be like, yeah. And they don't do it. And I'm not just pointing out homeless person, I'm just saying like of all walks of life, any people, like no one's going to argue that saving money is invaluable. But until you like the first time you start to see compounding working, the first time you actually see, hey, like how much my 401k has grown because I put money into it. Those are the things that start to shape and change behaviors. And then you can really impact them through educating because people I've been exposed to it. And that's why like exposure matters so much to things. My daughter, like our wealth building rewards program, I forced her to sign up for it. I was like, hey, you're doing this. One, because you need to be exposed to this. Like it's not enough for your dad who invests in real estate to say investing is important. I want you to go experience it because then you'll have the urge to want to learn more, as well as like building her credit and all these things that are help her. But I want her to be exposed to it because it's not enough for her just to hear it come from her dad's voice. She may look back when she's 40 and it click, like a lot of what the clicks for me today, but I want her to experience it at 20 so that like she moves towards those things. So we just learned that, you really have to expose and create pathways for exposure to really help shape and change behaviors that become generational at time.
So for our listeners hearing about this, maybe for the first time, maybe some have been exposed to what your offers are. I want to back up a little bit because I do this with all my guests. I know their business, they know their business. So, but I don't want to assume our audience knows what is Invest with Roots? So we're going to be talking about two things today: the wealth building rewards platform that you built, but Invest with Roots is a separate entity. And so let's start with Invest with Roots because it's the platform, it's the basics, it's where you identified.
It's why we built Wealth Building Rewards.
This is why you built the rewards platform. So let's start with Invest with Roots. So share with us, in short, what is it?
Got you. So a little over 4 years ago, Daniel Dorfman, who's the original founder and CEO of Invest with Roots, has been doing real estate for a long time. And the one thing that, he identified two problems within real estate. One is that no one outside of accredited investors and high net worth individuals or capital funds or ventures fund really invested it. The average person, if they have a little bit of money to invest, they take it down to their, Edward Jones advisor, whoever, and they put it in a mutual fund. But real estate investing seemed like something that was unapproachable to a lot of people. So we wanted to make it more approachable. One, by creating better access to it, and then two, creating a real easy way for it to be palatable to that individual. So to help educate them, to make it easy, to make it like the whole process feel like it wasn't this long, drawn out, cumbersome thing. So Invest with Roots does two things. We are a Regulation A+ REIT. And what that allows us to do is to take both accredited and non-accredited investors into the fund. And so our minimum today to get into our fund is $100. We have over 22,000 investors. We started with zero. We have over 22,000 investors now in the fund. 7,000 of them are accredited. The remaining are just everyday people from all walks of life from all over the country that have chosen to invest with us. We average over 150, that's a conservative number, but over 150 brand new investors into the fund every week. And so we've done a lot around marketing, around the brand, around educating, creating a community of people to say, hey, real estate can be available to anybody to invest in. And so we've done a really good job of like growing that side of the business, the way that we raise money from average people and then performing really well for them is important. If we didn't perform, if we weren't giving them good returns, we wouldn't continue to pull the investors in that we do. And then what that has really allowed us to do, because we have $100 minimum to get into the fund, it allows us to go to the renters who live in our homes and invite them into that process. Because the one thing that we realized was, buying real estate is important. Like how you buy is important, how it's managed, how it's maintained, all that stuff's important. But the biggest contributor to our success is always the human that lives in the homes. And so, you buy a home, that home's value will increase or decrease with the market, whether someone lives in it or not. The ability for us to perform as investors comes from renters who live in the homes, pay the rent, and take care of the homes. And a lot of times we ask that of renters, especially in the PM world. We ask that of a renter, and we care very little about what matters to the renters. We think it's like there's this whole world of resident benefits packages and all these things. Like renters really don't care about that stuff, in my opinion, as an operator.
Right.
They don't. And so we thought, what if we led with something that was really meaningful and impactful to the renter? What if we showed them we cared first and hope in return that the return of that would be they care about what matters to us. We care what matters to them. And so we created a program called Living It Like You Own It, where we said, every quarter the renter will do 3 things for us: pay their rent, have a zero balance, so pay their rent. We call it be a good neighbor, basically don't violate their lease. And our renters do a video once a quarter of the inside and outside of the home. And we show them how to do that, or like what we're looking for. We're not trying to catch them. It's not like we're spying on you. We want them to look under the secondary sink and look up into the corners and help us not only identify that stuff, but it shows their involvement in the care of that home. Yep. And if they do those 3 things for us, we give our renters $150 a quarter, and we give them the option if they want to invest that in the fund or not. And we've been running that for a little over 4 years. You mentioned earlier how much we've helped our residents invest and save, but that number is not their money. That is our money to them for the part they play in our success. And I wouldn't say that I don't want to say that we're looked at like this in the industry because we're still small. Like a lot of people listen to this, but I have no idea who we are. But a lot of our mission is really resident forward, but we are investor first, not resident first. Like we people give us their money to go invest it in real estate and perform. We just believe the best way to perform for our investors is to do the best thing for the renter and to really change those behaviors. And we've seen that through our turn costs continually going down, length of stay, renewal rates, the involvement, our brand, the way we raise money. Like it has impacted every aspect of our business, our ability to showcase the impact we have on renters. And I mean, I have, you know, a lot of really awesome stories to tell about people who've taken the vehicle that we've built and bettered their lives and been able to solve problems, alleviate stress and anxiety and things like that that all come with financial stress, like the parts of finance through this program. And it's awesome to see it because it's not like they earned all of that. They did it. They ran the program. They saw the value in it. And we get to benefit as operators. And so that at a core is what Invest with Roots is. We're a Regulation A REIT, raise money from anybody and everybody who wants to be a part of it. And our mission stands that the renters who live in our homes, we feel like those renters against anybody else's renters have a better chance of leaving in a better position than they came than anywhere else in the country.
So where is your portfolio primarily located?
We started it in Georgia, so the vast majority of our assets are still in Georgia. We now
Well,
own a portfolio in OKC, in Nashville, about to close on one in Charlotte. So we're in 4 states. We're in a couple of markets in Georgia. Um, but at the rate in which we are raising money, which has become a real superpower for us, we will continue to expand where it makes sense and where there's opportunities, and plan to deploy a lot of equity and a lot of capital in 2026, and continue to, buy well and treat residents well.
well, and I think the education, just using a word like accredited and unaccredited investor. The first time I was exposed to that, I'm a big Grant Cardone fan. And, I remember going back to his early days when he wrote the 10X rule and he was talking about, that financial responsibility is an ethical issue, right? It's your job to get up every day and be successful. And he really created Cardone University as a platform to help educate entrepreneurs on, how to sell. And then I watched his career evolve into investment portfolios around multifamily and different things. And I was like, man, I want to be involved. And the first time I went over to his website and I was like, I'm going to invest. I have a little bit of money, right? And it was like smack dab in my footing. Like I couldn't. I had to have a minimum $350,000 to even get involved in his group. And I was like, oh. So when a platform like this I don't think necessarily, maybe some of the audience that has never looked into investing because they were like you and I and we were raised. I remember calling my mom and dad the first time I bought. So the first house that I bought was $102,000. And when I bought that house, I remember I began talking about buying that house. My combined credit score with my future husband at that time, I think might have been 700 or 800, but that's if you added our combined credit scores together.
I
Uh,
don't think it works that way.
right. It did work that way. However, we were able to land an FHA loan, zero money down, and the first house we ever bought was $102,000. Those deals don't exist today, period. Like they're just not available. But I remember calling my mom and my dad, and they were like, "You're going to buy a house?" I mean, I was 27 years old. That would make sense that would be around the time period you might consider buying your first home. But my parents were like, they didn't own their own home, to your point, until they were in their 40s, and my dad was retiring from the army. So it didn't seem to them that would, like, was I even responsible? They had a bunch of question marks, like, are you even responsible enough to own a home and all the things, when that probably that was one of the probably most responsible decisions that I made. So the point I'm making is being able to start investing in real estate like you've just done now with your daughter at the age that she is and getting her exposed to what that means and then start taking some courses around these things, and we'll get into this with your platform. I think that's amazing. So, you're a Class A REIT allowing for
Right.
credit
Or a Regulation A REIT.
regulate.
Not Class A. We have a lot of, our portfolio is made of a lot of things, very little Class A. We're Regulation A REIT, which just allows for, it means basically we are highly scrutinized by the SEC. We do quarterly audits. There's a reason that, because I get asked this sometimes, like when people hear about the way that we're raising money, how quickly we're raising money, it becomes real appealing. Ooh, Regulation A sounds like a great route. Well, it's really expensive, takes a long time. You need good lawyers. There's the SEC that's involved in your business all the time. You're audited on a regular basis. There's a reason that most people don't go that route. Most people just want to go and take checks from accredited or capital or venture and not go this route because it's difficult and it's challenging. But it's become a moat to our business. Our willingness to do it and to do it right, and all of the technology that we use to run our cap tables and that whole platform, we built it and own it all. So our willingness to do all of that front end work has really created a wall around our business to some extent. Like our ability, especially with wealth building rewards, to invite a renter to be an investor in real estate. Other companies that are in the rewards and the benefit space, they can't just wake up tomorrow and decide to do that. Like it's challenging. Now they could do it, but it's not as easy as like, oh, we can offer that same benefit. Like they can't, because we have the vehicle that allows for it. We spent a lot of time and money and effort to build in a very thoughtful way to run this real estate fund.
So for $100, I can get started in investing. And what you are doing is saying, hey, if you start to participate as just a part of leasing one of our homes by taking some footage of our home and helping us protect that asset in reference to some of these audits to justify the value of your portfolio and all the things that go into that, they start to participate. So you're turning around with wealth building rewards and you're saying, we're going to give you, you said $150.
We give our renters $150 a quarter.
$150 a quarter. And this adds up. So numbers matter in everything. However, but let's put some context here and why this matters. Because you've helped your residents save and invest over $1.4 million. $150 at a time?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Early on, in Georgia's laws around security deposits are different. They're state by state. But we were able to give our renters the opportunity to put their security deposits into the fund.
Wow.
And so they could grow that. We've always believed that most PMs in the space, they view a security deposit as a deposit. We view it as like that's a resident's savings. That's their money. It's their money until they leave. Now there's damages, there's a contractual agreement between renter and the PM. And in a lot of cases, we as operators had experienced it. The renters don't always hold up their end of the deal, and there's damages to the home for sure. But we really wanted to change and shape that. Like when they come in and they've saved up $2,000 to put a deposit down to move in, that's their money. That is wealth for them. And so we wanted to be able to give them a vehicle that while we're holding their money, we can help them build wealth. And so that's contributed to a lot of that growth. Our average annual return on investment since inception has been north of 15%. So we've been able to grow it for our investors and our renters as well. So yeah, over time, somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 700 homes are in the fund today, something like that. Don't hold me to that. I'm not the expert on how many you say fund. And
what represents to you that 1 point? So you've helped residents save and invest $1.4 million. And that number represents a future and education, but you're reaping the benefits as an owner operator because they're participating in the home that they're living in. And if I if I live in a home that I feel like I'm a part of and I've got some ownership in this, yeah, I'm going to approach probably how I treat this home, right? Um, or, reluctant to make a phone call to get something repaired, or I might do that a little faster. And so those things compound. I think that's where what we're all learning right now in this space is that problems also scale, and we need to understand the impact of these homes being kept and owned and maintained in a way that has a long-term advantage financially to the bottom line, the overall performance of the portfolio. And so I absolutely love this concept. And when you first started sharing this with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So wealth building rewards. So we've talked a little bit now about um, Invest with Roots is an owner operator audience, and they have a portfolio. How large is your portfolio total right now?
So without going into all of the
Sure.
boring details, when we buy assets for the fund, we buy them inside of our operating company. We stabilize them, make sure they're cash flowing, and then we sell them into the fund when they are performing. We part I mean
Even
part of it. Yeah, and we also understand that like we're taking $200 from Bob or Tom who are making their very first real estate investment. We want the fund to be conservative, cash flowing, and as predictable as it can be. And so we try to do our best to ensure that, because we're not trying, like, our message is not we're going to make you rich. We want a consistently performing asset for people who are experiencing real estate investing for the first time. And so
exposure to concept
yeah, all that
and scale.
all that to say, in total, we hope to end the year just shy of 1,000 homes in total, like with what we're curating and what's in the fund.
Amazing.
And then we hope to deploy somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million of straight equity next year into real estate. And we've been able to do some really, really cool things with the community that we've built. And especially through like the accredited investors. Like, one of the opportunities, like, we've raised in total through our community around $200 million, $100 million into the fund. But like when we bought the portfolio in Nashville, we needed like $5.5 million to close it. And we were like, well, to move quicker on the operating side, what if we gave our community, our accredited investors that are already involved, an opportunity to participate as LPs in these deals so that we can move quicker? And we did that. We opened it up. I think we closed that in less than 48 hours. We raised $5.5 million just from our community. And so we're able, like, this mission in the community, like, one of the cool things is you probably won't find many groups that could say we have the ear and exposure and we've been successful for over 7,000 accredited investors that are actively waiting for the next opportunity to be involved in a deal that we do. And so we're able to move really quick. We're able to deploy a lot, and it's just been a big benefit to us to move in that way. And so we'll explore more opportunities to be creative with how we deploy capital in 2026. A little bit out of my world, so I won't go into all of those details.
Sure.
But yeah, we the fund has gotten fairly big. We're not super small anymore, but we're still a smaller fish in terms of how many assets we own.
Yes, I think this is going to compound, though. I think being on more platforms such as this inside the vendor network and sharing this and having more conversations, but your investors are walking billboards around how it's working for them and their lives and their financial futures, and it just makes them feel better about leasing potentially from within your portfolio to stay in that ecosystem. They're getting a lot more out of that environment. So let's simplify this.
We also market, like, our marketing team, in my opinion, like, nobody markets in real estate the way that we do. Now, we market to a different segment. We're marketing to everyday people. Yep. But a lot of our community, even the people who don't invest with us, a lot of our community are renters. And so, like, we market so well, and it's impacted our business very, like, in a great ways, but it's also helped our brand. I say all the time, like, I want people to Google us. Go look up, go read our reviews, go read what people are writing in publications about roots, because the brand behind what we do has been impactful, and like it's meaningful. It's helped our business in an industry where reputation and brand are often challenges because of the nature of it. It's not even, I'm not putting blame on people. It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, it's just me.
We have been able to create such a different experience for the way that people view our business because of the mission and because of the way we market it.
So let's simplify this for the operators hearing about this for the first time. I'm guessing there's a few operators with question marks. They have 1,000 questions right now. Like, what? Huh? What?
I'm easy to find, but we could talk
Like,
about.
Ben's real easy to find. So what is wealth building rewards in one sentence?
It is a wealth building platform that operators can make available to their renters at no cost to the operator. There's no integrations, there's no lift, and it's simple. It's optional to the renters. You let renters decide if it's meaningful to them, and it's a way to invite renters into real estate investing through a rewards platform. And then there's other services that are wrapped into that, but at its core nature, it's a way to just provide a real benefit to a renter. Let the renter choose if they want to do it, and it's very clear on what that benefit is that the renter's getting.
Yeah. And so no lift for the operator. And what I'm hearing you say is you're doing this within your portfolio, but you've built this platform that you can now help and work alongside. They can deploy your platform. If you're an owner operator listening, large or small, you can deploy this platform. You're not hoarding this for yourself. You're saying, hey, let's share our platform and let's offer this to other owner operators. There's no lift, no cost to them involved. As a matter of fact, it's actually going to help their NOI in many ways that they didn't even consider.
I would say, like, at the simplest, like the lowest hanging fruit, because it's been super impactful to our business. You launch wealth building rewards. You make it optional to your renters. You let the renters choose. And from day one, in every single one of your listings that you put up, you can build wealth while you rent here. And just that messaging alone has impacted our ability to lease, how quick we lease. We have a waiting list to get into a lot of our homes in Georgia. The messaging behind that, outside of all the other stuff that comes with it, is really meaningful and impactful. And the way that we've structured this for us, like, we built the platform we're entrepreneurs, we're capitalists. We built the platform to make money, but the benefits far outweigh the cost to the renters. And we make money by getting renters excited and trusting and building that relationship on behalf of our PM partners. We have the playbook. We've been doing it for 4 years on how do you build trust, engage, and get renters excited about something. So we work side by side with our partners to ensure that the renters are doing it. And what's great is that if you have 1,000 renters and 150 of them sign up to do it, that's 15%. That's not a loss. That's 150 people that are getting an opportunity they historically have not had. They're choosing to pay for it. And the operator's benefiting from that messaging and from what they're doing. And they can stand behind, like, offering renters something that they historically have never had.
100%. So let's make this tangible for people picturing, their own residence. So if you're a property manager, this is something you can bring to the owner operators as a benefit and a concept. So you're working with other PMs, and then you're working with owner operators, and they don't have to go build this. You've built it. You've built the platform. You've built the app, right? There's an app, I'm guessing, that the resident is going to experience on their phone. You help with the implementation of this for an owner operator?
There's really no implementation. It's basically, someone said to me today, we want to offer this to our renters. Depending on their level of effort, we can have renters invited to the program in 2 weeks. Like, we've made it, we realized, one, as operators, two, just like what we've learned through conversations, the best way to get in front of as many renters and give the opportunity to them is to make it as easy as possible for the PMs and the other owners to partner with us. And so we don't want to be in their backswing. We don't want to be another system they have to attach to Appfolio. We can do that, but we wanted to make it so that you just simply wanted to make this available to your renters. You can do it and lose little sleep over the time that it takes to do. And one other thing that we're like really excited about.
True resident benefit packet. I mean, this is a true resident benefit as opposed to just something that drives the efficiency within a home and drives down cost of operating.
Yeah, most other resident benefits, they all serve their purpose in their place. And I know that like the PM world is very it's margin thin. It's not a margin rich business. So creating ancillary revenue is really important. And the other aspects that are involved in these resident benefits packages do have value in a place at times. We don't even look at what we're doing as being something that displaces that. We'd rather be a part of all of that and be able to help bolster the story that this is something that's impacting the life of a renter. Because air filters and, pest control and stuff, that stuff matters, but that's not shaping or helping propel a resident forward. It is things that can be convenient and meaningful to them. So they have a place, but we want to be a part of the story that like lets operators really stand behind, hey, we do meaningful and impactful things for the renters. But we, being the marketers that we are, and I'll prop our team up because this is not me. I'm a goon that is good at telling stories. But our team is like so good at from a marketing and a brand perspective that we're not going to sit and just rely on PMs to rally behind us. Now we have some great PM partners that are doing it, but less than a month ago, we launched this thing full retail directly to renters. And we're taking the same way that we've grown our community to over 100,000 members in a short period of time. We're going directly to renters and saying, you can participate in this, whether your PM's involved or not. You could live in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, renting from a mom and pop who has a second home because they can't sell it. And you can still get the benefits that we provide to the platform if you choose to as a renter. And what's awesome is we're seeing that outpace the activations from our PM partners, meaning that the appetite from renters in general is greater through the retail channels,
organic
channels. It's organic. There's also always the battle of we started this one too, because there's always like the minute you sign a lease, there's always a general adversarial relationship. I follow a lot of PMs and smaller ones on LinkedIn, and they'll do posts about interactions they've had with renters, and you can feel it in their posts that like they view their business as an adversarial between a renter. We're protecting our owners from the renters. And the reality is that's true in cases for sure. But we want to lead with like, how do we create a better experience for everybody through like one alignment? And so yeah, we're going to go directly to renters. We'll use other distribution channels, and we're really excited about how that takes hold. I told you I had my daughter sign up. She goes to university in Chattanooga. I was like, this is important. You should do it. Her boyfriend signed up. One of her other friends signed up, like just through her word of mouth too. And so, like what we're able to take and do this, through that channel is going to be awesome, because we'll be able to identify renters who are a part of this and point them in the direction of our partners who own buildings and homes. Oh, you're a renter in our community. You're on this. You want to rent somewhere in Tennessee. We don't own anything there, or we do, but I'm just using an example. We have a partner who does. You want to rent from someone who's running this program. And so we can start to help direct our community of renters towards partners who are you believe in what we're doing and are a part of this mission.
100%. I mean, and like, I know that you are a big supporter of Brandywine Cares, but Brandywine in their portfolio, I mean, they've got Brandywine Cares that is helping educate with financial literacy, but again, not actually investing in the homes necessarily. So I want to remove any uncertainty around engagement and what type of activities earn rewards. So let's just review that real quick. What activities are the residents if to participate in rewards?
I got you. They get all right. So the way the rewards platform is set up, I'll give you what the benefits to the renter. So for $10 a month, the renters get $200 a year in investable rewards from us. It's not from the PM, it's from us for signing up. So $120 a year, just the rewards piece of it, they can earn $200 a year. They get $100 just for signing up and doing their first little 3 or 4 question survey. So we make it so on day one in signing up, they can make their first investment into real estate. We make it really easy. We want them to see that the program works, we stand behind, and they can be an investor day one. And they unlock that other $100 through very simple behaviors. It could be a quarterly survey. It could be renewal. There's a little bit of flexibility that we have in there for operators. So there's not a lot. We want to make it simple. We want it to be something that's adoptable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's general behaviors like that. We have found just being able to collect renewal sentiment from our renters. You know, if we have a renter who's 3 months into their second year and we're able to learn from them at that point, they're not planning to renewal because they want to buy a home. We get to be a part of a journey with them. Or if they're not happy, we have 9 months to fix a relationship. And so like just being able to collect that information from renters and reward them for it has been great for our business. But we make it really simple for the renters to unlock them. And then a couple of other things they get for that $10.
Well, it's fun. Who didn't like unlocking stuff, right? Like we've all experienced that.
We have a partnership that allows for those renters inside of that $10 to have their credit reported. I know a lot of institutional groups already do this. So we're not trying to displace those relationships. It's great for like my daughter who's in college renting from a student housing group that doesn't report credit. She's now going to have her credit reported. So renters, especially through the retail channels who've not had access to this before because, you know, the man or the woman who owns 2 or 3 rentals is not providing credit reporting. We now have access to that. We also have a partnership with Equifax that provides another layer to that because we think that it's not good enough just to report their credit. They need to have access to the credit. They need to be able to see it. They need to understand how it's impacting them. And then we have an entire financial library that's 3 pillars. We do webinars, we do master classes, and then we have a partnership with Success Unlocked that does highly curated, almost Netflix style mindset classes. Like we did one with Dominique Wilkins. We did one with Harry O, who's the original founder of Death Row Records, with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. These are the kind of things you would watch on Netflix, but they're designed to engage and drive people towards education. Because like I said earlier, the platform is about exposing them to something, but then it's all coupled with the kind of education you need for those things to be ongoing parts of their life. Expose them to investing and teach them about it. Increase their credit, teach them about it, and then provide an underlying, educational library that fosters all of that stuff. But the renters get all of that for $10 a month. They choose, and what we're seeing is that like renters are willing to do it. Like we're going right to the retail channels, and the renters are paying for it. They're signing up. They want to be a part of this, and so it's a benefit that matters to them, and it aligns with like where I think the industry should go, which is we should be really transparent about what we offer to the renters. Explain to them the value of it and let them decide. Let it be what they want it to be a part of, and they'll tell us what's meaningful to them and what's not. That's the core of the program. And there's some other things to it. However you discuss that, but that's the core basis of it. We want to expose and educate to things that will uplift an individual from a financial standpoint.
Well, I love this because there's so much bad narrative out there, Ben, around institutional owners. And if more institutional owners are deploying options like this for their residents, this combats that narrative, right? And so we're not all, big corporate landlords out there just scooping up homes. But let's face the fact, like you said earlier, we're still capitalists. We're here to turn a profit and investor first mentality. But why not turn the resident, the person living in our asset, into our investor? It's brilliant.
I think at the institutional level, the bigger groups have the greatest opportunity to impact. And a lot of times the programs and the services and what they provide are incredibly meaningful, and renters do not get that when they're renting from smaller groups or from accidental landlords. They don't get what is offered at the institutional level. So institutions get all the rocks thrown at them. They're oftentimes doing the most impactful things. And we would love, any opportunity to work with those groups to provide one other layer to renters that, is something I've always said, like, it's hard to come throw rocks at us when we can show you that we've helped our renters invest and save $1.4 million of real money.
1.4 million.
And
That's
the
real.
renters will tell that story. Like we've had people go and interview our renters aside from us, and like they'll tell that story. And it's really hard to come and throw rocks at us. Now, of course, no one goes looking and seeking us out to throw rocks because we're little old Invest with Roots, getting bigger day by day, but we're not
Sure.
progress. We're not imitation. Like easy to find, easy to throw rocks at. But when you can show in a tangible way that people are better off living in your homes than someone else's, it becomes really difficult to paint the narrative that less institutions should own homes. Because I think that more should when it comes to the rental world, because they have the greatest opportunity to impact the people who live in those homes.
100%. So how does this, so this is changing the future narrative around renting. And before someone, let's just put on the table that, all things alike and everyone could own a home, which they can't, they're just because of the temperature of the market right now. But the future narrative around renting, some of the early concepts that I started learning when I started following some significant real estate experts in the space was, don't actually rent, don't own your home, take all of your capital and put it into rentals and let it cash flow, right? And I'm like, cash flow, what does that even mean? I mean, these were concepts I didn't even get introduced to until probably my late 20s, early 30s. I already owned a home, but how many of us are listening right now, or you or myself, were like, man, when I bought that home at 102,000, I wish I would have bought about 10 more of them at the time, right? And turn those into rental homes, not just to be, a corporate, or a mom and pop landlord, but to really build wealth in a different way and put my money to work. So because I was raised, put your money in the bank, save it, save it, save it, but also putting your money in the bank and just putting it in the bank, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to grow to develop wealth, right? So that $100 or $200 that they're electing to put in to become an investor is going to perform way better here than just putting it in my savings account. And I'm going to pick up education. I mean, that is just the basic entry.
It's, in my opinion, it's more about like the behaviors. Like I know that a rewards platform, if the renter just is earning the $200 a year rewards and investing them, like that money is not going to buy them a home. It's not like I can make them well. So it's the behaviors. And what I've learned is like also home ownership is really difficult now, but there is something a lot I've heard the conversation. You shouldn't buy, you should rent. Then you go buy investments, and all of that makes financial sense to me. But there's something that is very intimate and fulfilling about owning a home. As part of that is like the narrative that's always been created in us, like the American dream of home ownership. But there is something special about owning a home.
Sure.
Maybe not everybody will get to one day. Maybe not everybody should. And so like part of what we're helping to do, in my opinion, is we are part of what is restoring integrity and hope into renting. Like we know that when renters leave our homes and our partners' homes, we want them to have the best opportunity to get to take the next step, whatever that is. It may be paying a credit card bill off. It may be going on a vacation. Maybe it is buying their first home. We don't really care. Like we're not in a world of like, we're not checking our box every time someone buys a home. The reality is there's a lot of our renters that may never, but we still want them to have hope and integrity while renting. We want them to feel like they are moving upward by living with us and our partners. And so that's really the story there, is that it looks a lot different. We would love for people to own homes. I know, I was late in life when I bought my first home and how it made me feel. It's great. We would love that.
It's feel accomplished, right? I mean, it's yours. It's your canvas. You can paint it. You can tear a wall down if you want to tear a wall down, whether you should be or not. It's yours. And there is
liability. It's not an asset like most people do. It's so, I had to replace an HVAC last year. It's a liability.
It's a liability, but there comes a sense of education with any liability, right? As you learn
through, yeah. Well, you've heard of like the lease back programs, right? They give the groups to do lease backs. They tell you all the time that when they go and they buy a home from a homeowner and then they sign a long-term lease with that homeowner who's now a renter, that homeowner never becomes a renter. They're always a homeowner. They lived in a home as a homeowner. They're not going to call you to replace the light. They've always replaced that light.
Right.
They're not going to call you. They've owned that home. They're forever in the mindset of a homeowner. We think renters with that mindset. They don't. They've never owned a home.
They've never owned a home. When exposure to owning a home.
I'm supposed to clean gutters out.
Parents didn't even own a home. They could be the first person in their building generational wealth, the first person to have ever carved aside money to actually invest anywhere, let alone into real estate. So I love this. So I'm going to hit you with a couple rapid fires here at the end. One myth about renters you'd like to kill.
I think all the myths are true at different times.
Yes. I like that. That's a good answer. One habit.
I would say that I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I think all of the myths and stories, because we have those stories too. That all of them myths are true. Yeah, I think
let's watch the myths about renters. Let's not pretend that we know what it is. It is because every renter is renting for their own reasons and their own purpose. I don't think there's a cookie cutter answer. And there's a lot of myths, and I agree with you. I think they all need to kind of be squashed. So one habit that predicts financial success. I know these are hard, aren't they?
Yeah, generosity.
Oh, I love that. I believe that though.
I think that if you see those traits in individuals, it's usually a pretty good sign of financial stability and meaningless. Because I heard someone say one time, you think making a lot of money is fun, try giving it away. I think generosity. And our founder Daniel, his father Larry just turned 70, is someone I care very, very deeply about. He's one of the kindest, most generous men, and he's been super successful in his life. And like the generosity comes from, the success, and it's nice when you see those things married. He's been awesome to do this alongside of. But yeah, I would say generosity.
I agree with that. One thing operators should rethink immediately.
We're talking like the owners or the PMs?
Yeah, or both. I mean, I feel like the PMs are acting as the operator, right? So
yeah,
one thing operators should rethink immediately.
I mean, I definitely think the resident experience, because we talk about it all the time at every conference. There's a panel about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the easy box to check. Like, oh, we're like, this is what I love seeing. If we're just on hot takes, I love seeing a post or someone saying, we buy homes and we make them beautiful because we care about the homes that people live in, and that's like how we impact afford. Like, now you're a real estate guy. Like, you buy homes and make them better because rents. Like we want to shape, we want to shift our narrative, we want to wordsmith all of this. And I would say, like, the thing you should rethink is, like, if someone showed up at your building of your operation and said, I want you to show me how your business is impacting the people who live in those homes and their lives. Show me it in a tangible way. Could you do it? Could you show me people are better off living with you than somewhere else? Because I've asked PMs that question, and the answers they give me are like the wordsmith answers of like how fast they respond to maintenance calls, or they could right out of the box. But like, would your residents tell that story for you?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I love that answer. And that is something I think we all are rethinking inside the vendor network as a vendor. Are we truly providing a good resident experience? My background was in flooring. It's like, did we really go in there every time? And was our goal to make this as easy as possible as the resident, as we demo out, rip out, their entire kitchen because there was a leak? And Or were we worried about our ROI and, time to complete and hitting our checking the boxes on, time to arrive, time to complete? Those things drive ultimately resident experience. But at the end of the day, was that really, it's something we need to rethink, right? Like, are we really, really focused on resident experience? And if we were to rethink it, what might that look like? What would we do different? I think those are all valid questions. Um, I think we're being asked right now of the market, and not because the owner operators are asking us, but because I think the residents are going to demand this, because as providers like yourself start to offer more in a true resident experience mindset, and that can get duplicated, I think that's going to happen more. Right. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on the show today, because why aren't we doing more of that? And I think the more you talk about it, the more I have a saying, motion creates emotion. Right. And so talking about things and bringing awareness to things, myself, give, right, with an attitude of giving, I do believe that creates motion in this world, which in turn creates emotion and a response, whether it be good or bad. It can be both. So, um, so as we close down, I I want to give you the final word. If operators and industry leaders only remember one thing from this conversation today, what should it be?
You know, saving the sales pitch, I hope that in this conversation and in looking into who we are, that there should be encouragement and optimism that you can do some really impactful things that are good for the renters and it not be a bad business decision. It can actually be the right business decision. Some people are like, oh, you give your because we give our residents $200 when they renew too, so they get $800 a year. Like, oh, operationally it made sense. Like, you can do some really impactful things for a renter and it actually be the right thing to do for your investors in your business. And we're early on, we're 4.5 years into this. We hope to continue to tell that story and hopefully be encouragement and create optimism that that's possible, that you can do some really great things for renters.
Well, and as you say, we're 4 years in, we're early on. I still feel like that's a proven model, because this space is around that long. This isn't something you're still trailblazing. This is a proven result is driving success. So this isn't, what I don't want the audience to take away today is like, oh, this is something they're trying. No, this is something that you tried and the result is proving successful and is driving all the right factors on that list of things that drive good NOI.
I'm being very humble, Yovonne.
You are being very,
Again, we know it works, and we know it's
works.
The business side of what we do is going really, really well, and I feel like there'd be a lot of groups who would love to benefit from the things that we've benefited from. With in all aspects of our business because of what we set up. So yeah, we're all very bullish on what we've done, and we feel like we've proven it out, and we'll continue to capitalize on that for sure.
And they don't, the owner operators out there don't have to go rebuild this. This is built. The runway of 4 years doesn't have to be rerun. Right? Like you've already arrived in a sense. So how do people get in touch with you, Ben, if they want to learn more and be like, wow, I was really intrigued by that conversation you had on Inside the Vendor Network. Tell me more. Here's my portfolio. We want to do this. How do they get in touch?
Email me. Find me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Randomly find me on the golf course every once in a while. But
find me randomly on the golf course. Investwithroots.com and wealthbuildingrewards.com are also your website where they can reach out. Thank you so much, Ben, for being on this show today, sharing the why and how. This conversation really highlighted how intentional systems can create better outcomes for residents and portfolios. And so if you guys would like to learn more, Ben is very active on LinkedIn. get involved in some of the conversations he's having online. But very fun. I always love watching any conversations you're participating in across LinkedIn. There's always a sense of humor involved. And thank you today to our sponsor, Palisade Wall Panel and Shower Systems, trusted by operators across SFR and BTR portfolios for faster installs, cleaner turns, and long-term durability. And if this episode did add value, please take a moment and subscribe, like, share, comment with someone in your network. Thanks for tuning in. I am your host, Yovonne Kenny, and we'll see you next time on Inside the Vendor Network. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks again, Ben, for being here.
Thank you. This was awesome.
You're welcome. Bye.